The United States ambassador to NATO and former acting Attorney General of the United States, Matthew Whitaker. Ambassador, thank you so much for making time for us. It has been a very busy 300 days, and I think that for many Americans, the president's direct engagement on a number of issues and conflicts perhaps sort of came as a surprise of what was really supposed to be a much more of a domestic policy-focused administration. But there have been some pretty dramatic results. What would you say has been his most significant achievement thus far?
Yeah, well, it's great to be with you. And, I think from day one, the achievements have been coming. I mean, whether it's the 8 peace deals that he has made and expecting the 9th one to be coming. But, he also had the one big beautiful bill where, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on the interest on American-built cars, just a real great domestic policy. And then obviously what we delivered at the NATO summit in The Hague this year and the 5% defense spending commitment from our NATO allies, all of those were massive wins.
Yeah, I'm sure you remember how the left in some of the corporate media, they attempted to scare Americans by saying that Trump was going to leave NATO, that he was going to abandon the alliance. Of course, that didn't happen. In fact, a lot of folks believe that NATO is stronger. So talk to us about the state of the alliance. You alluded to the increases in spending. But what else, now that you've been there over these last number of months, do you see in terms of a change?
Well, first of all, there's no doubt that Donald Trump has made NATO stronger. He has made sure that our transatlantic defense and our allies are contributing and boosting their capabilities and their resilience and investing in their own defense. Many European countries took a peace dividend where they took their foot off the gas, stopped investing in their military, stopped investing in border security, and it's been hard for them to ramp back up. But with President Trump reelected and sworn in January, you've seen a renewed focus on this exact issue. And I'm traveling all over the alliance, and I'm seeing the real capabilities that are being fielded by our allies. And it takes the burden off the American taxpayer, who no longer has to provide the conventional defense of the European continent. And that's a big win for President Trump. It's a big win for the American people, but it also, our European allies are also strong.
Let's talk about the state of play right now with Russia, a country that does impact policy in Europe and the security of Europe. The president has given Vladimir Putin a number of chances to come to the table to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine. The president is, I think, very genuine. He says he wants to stop the killing. He wants to end this war. Do you believe that his strategy is ultimately working here, and why?
Yeah, his strategy is working. He's putting more and more pressure on Russia to end this war. This war has to end. The killing is senseless. Thousands of soldiers every single week are dying on the battlefield, especially on the Russian side. It's been going on for almost 4 years. We're going to pass a date where this war has been going on longer than any war on the European continent, including World War I and World War II. And so, I mean, you add all that up, and what you find is that President Trump is taking the right strategy. He is engaging with the Russians. You have to talk to Russia to get this war to end, but he's also engaged with the Ukrainians. And both sides are going to have to agree to any ceasefire and ultimate peace deal. And I think President Trump has set the table that will be happening in the future.
And of course, the Biden administration cut off all contact with Russia. There was no principal-to-principal conversation at all for a number of years. Looking at where we've come over the last year, and then certainly adding this year, adding to the body of work that was done in the first Trump term, what would you say, Ambassador, is the Trump doctrine? How would you define it?
Well, first of all, it starts at home. It's a strong America, and a strong American military, but most importantly, a strong American economy. And that's been done with both incentives for our own industries at home, but also, with the tariffs. President Trump's been very clear that tariffs are critical to what he's been doing and what he's accomplished. And so, again, a strong America, and then also strong allies, making sure that our allies are not dependent on the United States, that they are strong in and of themselves, that they have strong economies and strong militaries.
Right.
That is a Trump foreign policy.
the way that he links the economy and foreign policy and trade and foreign policy is something that I don't quite think a lot of people sort of fully appreciate in terms of the dimensions of the strategy. Ambassador, the Communist Chinese really manhandled Joe Biden. What progress can you point toward changing the power dynamic there?
Well, again, President Trump went and talked to President Xi recently, and they came up with some critical deals. They made a deal on fentanyl. We're going to see less precursor chemicals coming out of China. We're going to see a more balanced trade deal between the United States and China. And I think President Trump has it on a better footing than it ever has been. We worked very hard in the first Trump administration on these issues, and we made progress only to be undone by Joe Biden and the fact that, his family had compromising relationships with the Chinese Communist Party. And so ultimately, President Trump, again, from a position of strength, knowing the American economy is necessary for the Chinese economy, he knows exactly where the leverage is, and he's using it to make sure that he's putting the American people first and that they get the good deal and not the Chinese people.
All right, well, now on to the next 300 days. United States Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you being with us.
Good to see you, Tom. Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.